Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, it's shaping up to be another absolutely gorgeous morning. The sun is rising, the temperatures aren't too cold out actually right now. I thought they'd be a little bit more colder for this time of year. And speaking about this time of year, this may be one of the last camping trips of the season. Not the last time I get out, not the last time I go about somewhere else and show you guys the area, but one of the last camping trips of the season, or maybe not, who knows. Anyways, come along with me on my morning walk and let's talk some news. So first up on the docket, we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with ARMSX2. And ARMSX2 just got a brand new website and an update as to what's coming. So in addition to the brand new website, they're in the final stages of testing to launch on the Google Play Store. It may launch as soon as a few days. It may launch by the end of the month. Their overall target for official launch of version 1.0 is the end of the month. However, and this is a big one if you are on Mac, the big however here is ARMSX2 will not be headed to Mac. So they say here, due to recent news of PCSX2 officially stating that they will continue support for ARMJIT on Apple Silicon, the Mac port for ARMSX2 is being discontinued. While some people might be a little bit disheartened to hear that, I think it makes complete sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have a port of a thing that's already there. It's a duplication that doesn't need to happen. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about websites, next up here, we're switching from real to fake, and I would say this is a pretty darn big PSA. So this is being reported up on Reddit Emulation on Android, and if you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, link will be within the GitHub link in the bottom of the description below. I don't hide my sources. But anyways here, they say heads up, GameHubLite.com is fake. Now it is worth noting that GameHub Lite itself is not fake, but the APK available at GameHubLite.com is fake. And interestingly, because that website has a link to the official Discord of GameHub Lite, go figure. Anyways, they say here, just a heads up, GameHubLite.com is not the official website for GameHub Lite. The APK provided has a different hash, but the fact that they pretend to be the official website, distribute a modified APK, but still the link to the official Discord and a non-official Telegram group is sketchy enough, and I would agree with that. They end the post by saying, stay safe and don't download random APKs. And in this post, they do contain the official links for the official version of GameHub Lite and their official Discord. Now, I am not at all surprised about this one because we have seen a bunch of different websites out there, fake websites for APKs and different emulators. So yeah, stay safe. And speaking about staying safe, check out this little black squirrel staying safe. Someone in a previous video mentioned they had never seen a black squirrel before. Well, if you come to Canada, we have a whole bunch of them. And secondly, check out this loon in front of me. While I was recording, it popped up and I'm very, very happy we can get this thing on camera. Loons are awesome. So there you have it, 2 back-to-back fluffs in this video. So don't complain that you didn't see any fluffs at all. You're not going to see the legendary one fluff though. But if we take a look, what's really interesting here, not to get too off topic, but there's a big lake behind me and then there is a tiny lagoon, and that tiny lagoon is where the loon is. Maybe lagoon is not the right word for it. Maybe loon. I don't know. Just mix up loon and lagoon somehow. Let me know. But moving on from that, but speaking about fluffs, kinda, next up we're talking about Pokemon. And holy smokes, the real versus fake argument regarding the recent Pokemon leaks is really heating up. It's being reported that the chief operating officer of the Pokemon company has sent an email to CentroLeaks to take down the Pokemon leak images. Now this is being reported by CentroLeaks on Twitter, so it may be real, may be fake, we don't know, but I'm leaning towards real. Anyways here, they say funnily enough they took the bait. Among the images they requested X to take down was the leaked Pokemon Wind and Wave logos. They are real. And taking a look at CentroLeaks' Twitter page, and it does appear that some images have been taken down. So I would argue against this being a very huge ruse, and I would argue more towards it being actually real. And this is being reported in a bunch of different places. So let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Do you think those Pokemon leaks were fake, or do you think they are real? Do you think Pokemon just accidentally or maybe intentionally confirmed that everything was real? Be curious to hear your thoughts. And unfortunately for Pokemon, I would say once something's out on the internet, good luck trying to take all instances of it down. It's going to be a very tall order and probably impossible. And speaking about impossible, next up here, we're kind of talking about the exact opposite. We're talking about possible, and we're talking about ASUS. Now, first and foremost, a quick update. I did send ASUS an email. We talked about this one in a previous video because I want to see if the ROG Xbox Ally X can be used as an everyday PC. And surprisingly, ASUS is on board with that, so I'm very curious to see once testing is underway here. Secondly, and this is a huge one, Bazzite appears to be compatible with the ASUS ROG Xbox Ally. So Carrie, who is known as the Fox on YouTube, has a tweet here that says Xbox Ally, but with Bazzite installed. Looks like TDP and fan control are working without issue. It's basically a super Steam Deck, so time to bench and compare to Windows. Time to compare against the Steam Deck OLED and Windows. On top of that, Bazzite actually responded and said on testing, yes, everything but RGB control should be working as of now. I am very curious to see these test results. And speaking about being interested and curious about stuff, next up we're still talking about ASUS. And this is very interesting. So it's being reported that the ASUS ROG Nook 2025, their mini PC, is being refreshed with an AMD Ryzen 9 9955HX 3D, and I think it's being paired with a 5070. Now, from my understanding, this is currently an exclusive in China, but will be released worldwide at some point in time. What I find really interesting about this one is the switch to AMD, and I'm wondering if Intel is going to be smaller and smaller in terms of market share in the Nook and small form factor PC and gaming handheld and just gaming space altogether. I mean, Xbox has talked about their upcoming console with their partnership with AMD, and it just seems that AMD is the future in terms of gaming and the gaming space and possibly the small PC space. And speaking about the future of stuff, next up here we're talking about Honor, and it's being reported that Honor is making a smartphone with a fold-out camera. Unfortunately, I don't know specs, I don't know the price, I don't know release date, I don't know if this thing is going to be manufactured in a large capacity or what is happening here. But taking a look at the smartphone with the fold-out camera, my first question is whether or not this is going to hold up, whether or not it's going to be durable, and whether or not it's going to be practical. I guess those are a bunch of questions. I mean, in terms of innovation, I would say that this is pretty cool, but in terms of practicality, I would say it's really not that practical. I couldn't really see this one widely adopted, but let me know your thoughts. But speaking about practicality, next up here, we're talking about Ayaneo. And Ayaneo has just launched the Pocket Air Mini up on Indiegogo here. Two different versions, one with 2 gigs of RAM and one with 3 gigs of RAM. The 2 gigs of RAM comes with 32 gigs of storage, and the 3 gigs of RAM comes with 64 gigs of storage. And the prices here, I would say, are pretty attractive. They're starting at $70 and $80 respectively. I am patiently waiting for review videos on this one, but I would say that these are probably not going to be emulation powerhouses. They're a more affordable offering and probably will do up to and maybe including some PS2, probably not a whole lot of it. Maybe some GameCube, probably not a whole lot of it. I might be wrong with that one, but we'll have to wait and see. And speaking about hardware and stuff releasing, next up here we're talking about the Analogue 3D, which is the FPGA N64 console that Analogue has delayed a bunch of times. Anyways, this update could be considered good or bad depending on how you look at it and how you're reading it. But Analogue says, Analogue 3D October update. Analogue 3D remains on target to ship in Q4 of this year. We're in October, we're in mid-October. They've only got the rest of October, November, and December. Anyways here. Number 2, there is no change in price or added cost for all open pre-orders. 3, if you need to change your shipping address, we will be sending out an email to all pre-orders 1 week before shipping. And number 4, if you'd like to cancel your pre-order at any time for a full refund, it looks like you can. So in my opinion, the good news here is that they're still targeting Q4. The bad news is we still don't have a date. There's not a whole lot of time left, and if people haven't got emails yet 1 week before shipping, I would argue that October is probably not realistic for these things shipping at all. So maybe in November or towards the end of December. I've got really no idea here. But I'm very surprised they don't have a firm date with only 2.5 months-ish left. I think even less than that now. And speaking about stuff in the future, next up we're talking about Dragon Ball. And you may or may not be aware about this one, but 2026 is the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. So I am guessing here that there's going to be a whole lot of Dragon Ball stuff in 2026. In fact, in January 25th, 2026, there's going to be an announcement about a brand new Dragon Ball game. Unfortunately, I don't have more details for you. I'm guessing there's going to be a whole bunch of leaks leading up to that, but we'll have to wait and see. I am excited though for the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, and I am really hoping that a lot of cool stuff is released. Let me know your thoughts. And continuing to talk about stuff in the future, next up we're talking about Mexico and violent video games. And this is a really interesting headline over on Insider Gaming. Mexico moves closer to putting a tax on violent video games. So based on my understanding here, it doesn't apply to just violent video games, but adult video games. And it seems it's a matter of when as opposed to if this is going to be implemented. So I guess games rated C and D, where C is a rating for players 18 plus and a D is a rating for games rated adult only. And the tax, I guess, is another 8%. Now, from my understanding as well, it doesn't seem that this is going to be just a one-time fee or a one-time tax. I guess for free-to-play games, this tax is going to apply for every single in-game purchase. Curious to see where this goes. I guess it hasn't been debated in Senate yet, and I'm curious to see if it gets put into law or when it does. Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about hearing your thoughts, next up we're talking about Plants vs. Zombies, or Plants vs. Zombies. I don't know why I always call this game Planets vs. Zombies. Anyways here, this one is very interesting. It's being reported that Plants vs. Zombies Replanted has leaked via the EA app, and people don't seem to be happy with the results here. They say there appears to be a Unity re-implementation of the Windows Phone version. It uses AI upscaling with bad results, and it's littered with bugs. They say it's not looking good, folks. If you're a huge Plants vs. Zombies fan, I am curious to hear your thoughts on this one. I'm baffled that they would use the Windows Phone version and a port of that. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. They've got better versions out there that they could have used instead, but here we are. I mean, here's one of the comments on that post. Because it was a quick and sloppy port of the Windows Phone version, they tried wrapping in Unity. It's similar to how Sonic Colors Ultimate was done, a game thrown in a wrapper engine rather than rebuilding the game engine. Was this just a quick and dirty port? Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about games, next up here we're talking about something I think more people will be excited about, and that is Assetto Corsa Rally. This game has been announced with early access starting on November 13th. Now it's worth noting the game will be in early access, so I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of it just yet. I mean, they're saying it's starting out with an initial set of 10 licensed cars for rally stages, and that is, it's not necessarily thin. I mean, the game again is in early access, but it's not a whole lot. But let me know your thoughts on this one, and I am really curious to know where this game goes from here and if it turns out to be an amazing game. And speaking about great games, last up here we're talking about Capcom. And over on Fanatical, if you're a fan of deals, you might be a fan of this Build Your Own Capcom Horror Bundle. There are a bunch of games out there right now for a very decent price. I mean, if you're a fan of Devil May Cry, if you're a fan of Resident Evil, or if you're a fan of Dead Rising, they've got a bunch of different versions of these games up for sale right now in a create your own bundle. Let me know your thoughts on that one. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Actually, I lied. There were a couple of fluffs. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.